Okay. Today we're going to be looking at some Fanduel lineups for Week 6 in the NFL. Before we do that, I just wanted to show you the lineup that I shared from last week, and we'll talk a little bit for a second here about how it did. So this was in the $7 Fanduel contest with $500,000 going to first. My line did not do as well as I had hoped. It did make money. I won $10 on the $7 bet. I was really happy with my Watson Hopkins stack. That was probably the best stack of the week, I think. It did really well. I also have, this is the lineup that won the $500,000. So Watson did better than Prescott in that line, and Hopkins did better than any of the receivers in that line. But it looks like where I didn't do so well was in picking my running backs. I had Bell and Lynch, and they were nowhere near as good as Gordon and Fournette were last week. You basically needed to have Gordon and Fournette both as your running backs last week to make any big money, because they just both did so well. Nelson actually was in the winning lineup, even though he didn't have a great week either, and Fitzgerald was not great for me. Also, the winner having Dixon and the Dolphins, obviously that helped there. My tight end and defense picks didn't do so well. Kicker was fine. But yeah, my lineup last week did make some money, but obviously not the result I wanted. But we'll look at this week. We're going into week 6. We'll see if I can pick some better guys this time. We'll start at the quarterback position here. This week, I do like Brady, but I probably won't be using him too much. I like Watson a lot again this week. It's a decent matchup. I do think he's going to have another good week, but I'm not sure if it'll be as good as last week. He's been getting better and better every week, but I don't know if he's going to keep that up for a third week in a row. But I will be doing some Watson lines for sure. A really good cheap quarterback play that I like this week is Josh McCown. I'm going to put him in there. I like him a lot against New England. I don't necessarily think the Jets are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be high scoring on both sides. Obviously, New England's defense is not good. They do allow a lot of points to opposing quarterbacks. So, we might see him get up into the 20s, which would be pretty good for the price we're paying for him. So I think I'm going to leave Josh McCown in this lineup here. Other quarterbacks that I like Carson Palmer this week. Deshawn Watson. Those are my favorites. McCown, Palmer, Watson, and Brady. I think there might be some other good ones there, but those would be my top 4. Going to running back. 3 top running backs that I really like this week. I like Hunt a lot. Good matchup against the Steelers for him. He's been a little slower the last couple of weeks, but I think he could break back up into the 20s again. Fournette, I think he could have another big week here. This week, I think he's going to do well here. And Gurley didn't do so well for me last week, but I think this week he could come back. So we'll put him in here. As far as cheaper running backs go, other than those top 3, I like Jones if Montgomery's out, but I think Montgomery's back. Also, Alvin Kamara. I think he's good, really low price on him. His matchup here, it doesn't look great for running backs on here, but if you look at his game log, he makes a lot of his points on receiving, not necessarily rushing. So he's more of a receiver than a running back on a lot of games. So I think he could be a good cheaper pick at running back this week. For receivers, Antonio Brown's always a good choice. Pretty expensive, but I do like him. I like Hopkins again. I also think Chris Hogan's a good pick, and Davante Adams are also some good mid-range picks here. And I do like Larry Fitzgerald again. He let me down last week, but I think this could be a good matchup for Fitzgerald. So there, I've got a couple running backs. I got my receivers in here. At tight end, I like ASJ again this week. I think he could do better this week than last week. Kittle's a great choice. I'll be playing him in a few lines. And if we scroll further down, I think Hooper is a good choice if Julio and Sanu are both out. I think Hooper could get a lot of yards here, so he might be a good choice, depending. Have to kind of watch what's happening with Julio Jones. But in this lineup, we could put Jenkins in. Again, at kicker, really, it's so hard to pick a kicker, but I like to stay with just the $4,500 kickers most of the time. There's not many reasons to justify going up unless you just have extra money to spend. But even that doesn't guarantee you anything. So, I mean, we can go with Myers maybe, put him in at kicker. Leaves us with 42 for our defense, which isn't much. For the low-end defenses here, I like the New Orleans Saints. And I actually like the Dolphins to do well. Again, depends who's playing in Atlanta, but Miami's a good choice. We could fit Miami in here or New Orleans. So there's a good line there, using up all of the money. If you wanted to change a couple things, to try something else here, if we go back to quarterback and we put Watson in here, at running back, we could leave Gurley in, take out Fournette, and go down to Kamara. We'll save a lot of money with that. And we can afford to pay up instead of, let's see, we could do Hopkins, Fitzgerald, get rid of him, and we could add Brown. Leave everything else the same, but at defense, we could take out the Saints and put in the Dolphins. I think that's a good line as well. So that's my lineups for the week. Leave a comment below if you have any changes you'd like to see, or just let me know what you think of my picks. And everybody have a good week. Thanks.